Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 4080 in Spider-Man Miles Morales. This one is the Founders Edition model of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers at the time of recording this video, and I am not overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups GPU-Z. By the way, it says 1.1 right there because there's nothing 3D on screen. If there is, it goes up to 4.0 as it should. And over on the left, we are pairing it with a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go over the settings first. I'm starting this at the 4K resolution using TAA and no DLSS or frame generation. This game actually supports DLSS 3, so it's going to be fun to take a look at it in this video, a little bit later, of course. And I'm using the maximum settings with no ray tracing, as well as no motion blur, because, well, motion blur is terrible. Let's go. Oh my god, those are some buttery smooth frame rates. Wow, look at that. That's insane. I'm gonna start counting our frames right now. Oh, this is so good. Damn, and it looks beautiful as well. I love the purple hue that the city has now. The graphics are pretty much the same as the remastered version, aren't they, though? I mean, I don't really see much of a difference, both visually and performance-wise, compared to the last game that came out like 2 months ago. Well, that's to be expected. They run on the same engine and same everything. Anyway, and it's the same city as well. Yeah, this is awesome, guys. And look at that GPU utilization, by the way. It's completely maxed out here at 4K native resolution using very high, or actually ultra max settings without RT. So that means that there is no CPU bottleneck with the 5800X 3D. At least for now, ray tracing could actually end up being a little bit more CPU bound, because at least in the remastered version, that was the case. The ray tracing hit the CPU really, really hard. But alright, we're in the Central Park area, as I'm sure you've noticed already. And it's dropping near like 100 frames per second at times. Look at that. It's not really dropping from, well... It drops to 98, basically. That's probably the minimum that we'll see here, because this is the most GPU-intensive area in the game. And that's without ray tracing, by the way, because as soon as you enable ray tracing, at least in the remastered version, it actually becomes more intensive in these areas with a ton of windows and reflections and stuff like that. But yeah, so far, so good. This area right here is also really GPU-intensive. You can see the FPS dropping near 100 once again, so just as intensive as the bushy and foresty areas of Central Park. That's insane to see, actually, because usually forests are the most intensive things in games, but here it actually gets really close with all of these NPCs on the ground. Very, very populated city, a ton of details as well, tons of reflections, smoke effects, cars. Let's stop it right there, though, for native resolution. 116 FPS average and 86 1% lows. That's buttery smooth, and for a single-player title like this one, it's just amazing. But now let's enable some DLSS on quality, without frame generation first. Oh boy. We were getting like, what, 116 over here, or... maybe less than that, and now we're getting 120. Okay, now it's dropping a bit, actually. I'm curious to see if the 5800X 3D will still hold up like this. Because, of course, when you use DLSS, it's basically like lowering resolution, but without a visual hit, or a major one at least. And so it becomes a little bit more CPU bound. But that's not the case here. At least in this area, the 5800X 3D is still doing an awesome job. It's actually insane. If you're just licking walls and stuff, it goes up to 200s. Look at that. Damn, that's crazy. Wow, even here, looking at the entire city from above, 170 frames per second, still GPU bound. I actually did... oh, what the hell is this? Okay, I will return. I actually expected a CPU-bound scenario with these FPS. This game apparently is working a little bit better in CPU optimization, at least, than the remastered version. It's awesome. Look at that. Even here, it touched 200 FPS. I'm curious to see it in the Central Park, though. Let's check out some trees, shall we? But wow, 170 frames on average? I thought we'd get this with frame generation enabled, not without it. It's a breath of fresh air after testing Cyberbug 2077 and Call of Duty Warzone 2. Modern Warfare 2 was actually really well optimized, but Warzone 2? It was terrible. I hated it, actually. But I am making a 22 GPU benchmark video on it. It's gonna come Sunday, by the way. But anyways, here in the Central Park area, we're seeing 130s. That's nice. There is not any shimmering in the trees, and all of this, like, are they leaves or no? Just little branches, you know. They don't have leaves. It's winter time. But yeah, in all of those branches, which should be pretty hard for DLSS to render without shimmering. No, it's not shimmery whatsoever. This looks as good as native resolution to me. That's crazy. Really good implementation in this game, guys. I really recommend you to use DLSS, even with these high-end GPUs. I mean, it looks almost the same and you get more FPS, so why not use it, right? Let's enable some DLSS frame generation. Apply that. Okay. And is it the same? No. We were getting like 160s standing here, and now we're getting 170s. I can see that. Oh my god, this is still very hard to tell the difference. Oh, it's starting to flicker a little bit. Okay, and it's dropping to about the same value. Yeah, see that flicker, guys? Oh my god, yeah, that looks pretty terrible, actually. It's a little bit distracting. I would probably not enable it because of this. Unless you don't mind the flickering, but it's really noticeable, guys. Anyways, let's start counting the frames and play around with this technology for a little bit. Maybe outside of here it's gonna look better, so if you just avoid the park area, you should be fine. Alright, let's go. I'm just curious to see if it will also hit like 200 FPS like the 4090 did in the previous game, remastered version. Of course, I don't have the 4090 anymore, so I can't really test it in this game. Very sad tears. But yeah, this one is a beast anyways. It's awesome. It provides a perfect 4K experience, basically. Even this tree right here is also flickering a bit, so it's probably something weird going on with the vegetation only. It's looking fantastic. I can't really tell that FG is enabled at the moment. Even in the webs that the guy throws, Spider-Man right there. Yeah, it's not looking fuzzy or anything. Amazing stuff. Really amazing stuff. But honestly, guys, I expected a bigger difference enabling FG here. Maybe at low resolutions, we will see a bigger difference. But here at 4K, I don't know. Maybe it's because we were already seeing insanely high FPS. It's not really that different. 163 FPS or 64 FPS average and 121% lows. The 1% lows have improved a lot, by the way. You can see a little bit of a halo effect. Yeah, especially if I do this around him with FG enabled. I mean, it's so hard to tell. I don't even know if it's just me being super picky and trying to look for imperfections. It looks great. Anyway, we're back to the native resolution, okay? No upscalers in place. Gosh, that took me a while to find the menu here, but that's it. And now I will enable ray tracing. And should we also enable ray traced shadows? Yeah, why the heck not, right? Everything is on very high, which is the maximum here. Okay. 40s. I was hoping for 60. Oh my god, it actually drops from 40. But yeah, I was hoping for 60s because we were getting such high FPS. But yeah, at native resolution, it actually dropped into the lower 100s. So yeah, we lose about like 50 to 60 frames per second by enabling ray tracing. Is it worth it? I don't think so. Even with these super high-end GPUs, if you want to play at native resolution, do not enable ray tracing. If you're just swinging around, it actually feels pretty damn decent, 60s and 70s. But as soon as you go down there, with all of the car reflections and reflections on the ground and stuff like that, it gets wrecked. Also, in the previous game, if you remember it, you actually needed to restart the game to apply the ray tracing settings and DLSS settings, and in this one, it seems like they have fixed it. because I tried it prior to recording this game, and I was getting the same FPS before and after a restart of the game. So apparently you don't need to do that every single time, but you know what? I will still do it to apply ray tracing just to make sure 100%, okay? Oh yeah, I totally forgot. Let's check out the Central Park area with ray tracing. Oh my god, it's dropping so much here. What is happening? What? Jesus. That's crazy. Over here in this area. Maybe it's just the ray tracing stuff that's happening around us. It's dropping from 30. What the hell? Oh, I wasn't expecting that. But maybe it's just the trees coupled with all of the reflections. It's just directing everything. Wow. And this is after a restart, so, you know, it doesn't really matter if you do restart or not. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty intensive still. I was thinking this wouldn't be as intensive. Is that ray tracing in the snow or something? I don't think so. Oh, is it the shadows? It's probably the ray traced shadows, guys, because we got a ton of shadows because of the trees, of course. Yeah, okay. Very interesting stuff. Wow. So it drops tons at native resolution with RT. I don't recommend it. Let's see it with DLSS on quality now. Ray tracing as well without FG. Okay, this is it. Wow, what a difference! It doubled our FPS, more than double! What? How crazy is that? Oh my god, it looks basically the same at 4K, quality DLSS and native resolution. There's not much of a difference there. Maybe this is a little bit more sharp, but if you don't like the sharper look, you can just turn it down. You know, there's a slider for sharpness. In terms of detail, it's pretty much the same thing as native resolution, guys. Yet it's way better. Wow, what the hell? I just want to check it out in that little street though, because that was super awful. I think it was right here, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, so drop. What just happened here? Did you run the person over? You bastard. Damn, is that intensive. Oh my god, I think we found a more intensive scenario, at least to test ray tracing with. It's right here. For some reason, the trees, the shadows, and reflections of the cars and road, they just wrecked everything. 69 on average! Amazing! So if you are paying this much for a GPU, I don't think you want less than 60 FPS, you know, that's pretty bad. So what I'm gonna do is enable DLSS frame generation, and now it should be buttery smooth. There we go. There we go. We went from barely 60 plus to 90. Or barely 90 plus, I guess. This is very impressive now. 80s around here, where previously it was dropping into the 50s. And yeah, I mean, the frame generation stuff is just an incredible technology. I really like it. Unfortunately, here in this game, you can see a lot of flickering in the trees still, even with ray tracing enabled. So it's not like a shadow bug or anything. It's actual frame generation doing that. So yeah, once again, if you don't mind that flickering, and I'm sure they will probably fix it at some point, right? Especially now that I am actually mentioning it, and I know Nvidia watches my videos. Please fix this, okay? Also, AMD, if you watch my video, please send GPUs as well. I'd love to test the next-gen stuff from you guys. Come on. But alright, we got out of the flickering park, Central Park, and we're now here, getting slightly CPU-bound now. Alright, so previously, we weren't CPU bottlenecked whatsoever, but now with the ray tracing stuff, because ray tracing is so CPU intensive as well as GPU intensive in this game, we're actually seeing a little bit of GPU usage fluctuation. Not really that big of an issue, it's still 100 plus FPS anyways, but yeah, it is a little bit of a CPU bound scenario, and with a little bit of a faster CPU like at 13900K, 13600K even, it actually outperforms this CPU in this game. You can get more FPS. Slightly more. Still gonna be overall the same experience though, but it's something to keep in mind, alright? Very impressive stuff. isn't it? This is fully maxed out with ray tracing enabled and the frame generation stuff. And a lot of people think, wow, frame generation is cheating. Well, it kind of is, but if it looks almost the same, or if it looks insanely good anyways, why not use it? It's way smoother. Oh yeah, you know what we should do next? Play with some FSR 2.1 and frame generation enabled at the same time. Because it actually works. We're not getting as many FPS as previously, I think. I think we were seeing like 100 here. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's the same. Can I see? Ooh, it's a little bit like the edges, especially with Spider-Man running around. His edges are just a little bit more pixelated compared to the DLSS, and it's noticeable even at 4K. I wonder if it's on quality. Yeah, it's on quality, so And I wonder if the trees still flicker with the FSR. Oh, yes, they do. Look at that. You can already see these over here flickering a bit. When you're close to them, it doesn't really happen, but look at that. Yep. Still flickers, so it's just a frame generation issue, not the DLSS issue. Should we try it out at 1440p as well? I guess we definitely should. I've seen a couple of comments already saying that the people were buying this GPU for 1440p gaming, so here we are. This is 1440p with ray tracing, fully CPU bound. 60 FPS, damn, that is intensive as heck. Okay. This is native resolution, by the way, so it can do ray tracing at native 1440p with 60 plus FPS if you're not CPU bound all of the time. Now, of course, enabling DLSS will probably give us the same frames. Yep, because we were CPU bound again, so it doesn't really improve anything. Yeah, it's the same. If I move around, it drops into the 60s. So we need FG for those boosts in performance. Here we go. FG is now enabled. DLSS on quality and 1440p with ray tracing. And we are CPU bound. Of course we are, because we were CPU bound previously at 4K as well. Yeah, so at lower resolutions, the 4080 seems to be a bit of a waste of a GPU still. Because you're likely going to end up being CPU bottlenecked, even with the highest end CPUs there are. You know, maybe the 13900K can actually get 100% usage out of it here. It's still buttery smooth, of course, and if you're running a 1440p monitor, well, you can definitely max it out completely and get a very, very good experience. But I mean, this is not my cup of tea, honestly. I'm gonna go ahead and disable the ray tracing, and I just want to see, like, hugely high FPS. Okay? Alright, there we go. 200s. That's what I'm talking about. That was exactly what I wanted to see for a second here, guys. Of course, this is completely ridiculous performance, definitely not needed for a single-player title like this one, but it's fun to take a look at, isn't it? 180 plus, basically, in this area, which is pretty intensive as the Central Park, as you saw, basically, down here. Wow. It's awesome. It's really awesome. 1490 did pretty much the same thing, you know? 200 plus at these settings. It's insane. Anyway, without DLSS and frame generation, for those of you looking to play at native 1440p resolution, doesn't have a problem, obviously. And we are back to being CPU bound. Alright, so the 5800X3D gets CPU bound at like, what, 150 FPS, around that, I guess. Pretty good for this CPU, honestly. But the 4080 could do a little bit better without a CPU bottleneck. So I'll leave it right there, my friends. There's no point in testing 1080p. The results would be exactly the same as 1440 because we'd be CPU bound as well. And yeah, I think the most important resolution is already done anyways, which is 4K, obviously. And that's how you should play this game with a 4080. Thanks very much for watching this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It still hits 200 plus at times. Jesus Christ. What an insane performance. And as always, love you all. Bye-bye.